Let's take a look at some African safari images. A safari is a journey to observe wild animals in their natural habitats, specifically in Africa. Safaris are typically led by a guide driving a vehicle that is suitable for the rugged terrain. Some of the vehicles have open roofs or areas where riders can stand and peek out of the top to get a better glimpse of the animals. Many different animals can be seen depending on the location of the safari, but the big 5 animals that are most likely to be seen are lions, leopards, rhinos, elephants, and Cape buffalo. Kruger National Park in South Africa is a popular destination for safaris. Let's take a moment and get started. I went ahead and I started sketching out and drawing my overall image. And I did not show this in the video because your drawing guide can be super helpful and you can place your safari vehicle and the animals wherever you want. One of the things that I tried to really focus in on was trying to show space. It's almost like these animals are photobombing the rest of my picture. Those are going to be up close. So I tried to draw those large and extending off of the edge of the paper. Then I started to think about my foreground as objects that are lower and larger on the page, where objects that might be further away are going to be higher and probably smaller on the page too. So just kind of keep that in mind as you start sketching in some of your African safari animals and vehicles. Lastly, when you're all done drawing in pencil, please outline with Sharpie. Now moving into the fun step of adding some colors. I chose tempera cakes to begin this project. So with my messy mat underneath, I'm grabbing my painting supplies and I'm starting to apply colors onto the page. They're a lot like watercolors but less transparent, less see-through. Tempera cakes are going to give you a really nice coverage without being so translucent. Feel free to mix your colors onto the paper. Again, just like when you're using watercolors, we don't mix in the trays. We take the paint and mix onto the paper. Let those colors blend and mix right onto the paper. Now, once I've got my color added on, I just really had fun taking an overall look and adding a few more colors to mix together. The next step, I went ahead and grabbed some markers. These markers are Crayola washable markers. And like the cool thing about markers that maybe you do know, but markers will just give you a nice bright bold color, right? But the thing that you can also do, as long as your markers are washable and not permanent, you can take markers, apply them onto a paper, and when you add water to it, the markers tend to look like a watercolor paint. So I'm going to keep my elephant with nice bold color. But when I start moving into the safari vehicle, I'm going to outline the overall vehicle and add some water to my brush so that my markers start to look more like a paint. It's kind of fun taking my supplies and using original markers and using them in a totally new way. So this is what I'm talking about. When you grab your markers, I'm giving it a nice, thick, bold line, right? I'm using the side of my marker to get on plenty of color onto the page. But instead of filling it all in with color, I'm just applying color to the overall, outlining the overall shape. When I grab my brush and my water, it's almost like I'm trying to think about taking the color that's already on the paper and dragging the color with the water towards the center of the vehicle. It almost kind of gives it more of just dimension of color and color blending so that your markers aren't just one solid color, but instead has a nice variety of different shades and tints of green. I like the way that looks. I think it's kind of cool. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more of that when I get started on some of the rest of my background. Let's see if you can watch for it and see if you can find other areas where I'm leaving the marker just the way it is without any water or without any changing the values, and other areas where you're starting to see, oh, I wonder what'll happen if. I don't know, you might want to try some of these techniques into your artwork. The choice is up to you, but I know it's kind of fun experimenting and trying new things. So we'll go ahead and watch that too. And for my last step, I went ahead and I grabbed some oil pastels when my paper was dry, and I started just to create a little bit more texture and dimension into my work. I love the way that the black oil pastel almost highlights. I'm adding a little more texture into the trees, the tops and the bottoms of it, and I'm just creating a little bit of shadow with my brown oil pastel for the safari vehicle. And I just feel like by outlining it, it really makes everything stand out and gives my background a little more textures. Thanks for watching and happy art making!